Alright, so because this is just very recent, obviously, and breaking as of my me getting off of class, so it's been out for a while. As you can see on this tweet here, just in, Russian court classifies Meta as an extremist organization and bans Facebook and Instagram from operating in Russia. I think that's fucking insane, and I did also make my own tweet about it. Some other people have also responded, so I will be including some of those messages. They may not be the best argument to make all the time, but I'm trying to make a compelling, optimistic argument to try find a middle ground all the time. Of course, none of these people are going to see this video, but it'd be good to actually have a conversation about it, and without character limits. Of course, the only problem with me is that I go on tangents a lot, and I act like your own grandmother all the time who just talks a lot about her history. So, going into this tweet specifically, and no, I'm not zooming in because fuck this. I have a lot of time to go through. Another thing I want to add on as well, Babylon Bee is trending. As of recently, the Babylon Bee actually had their main Twitter account actually suspended, if I can just find it quickly. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on now, and it's because of it all breaking and then my own Twitter stuff. Okay, so Seth Dillon, I'll just go over this quickly, had said recently, I have just received this notice that we've been locked out of our account for hateful conduct, which the Babylon Bee had tweeted out saying the Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine. Rachel Levine, for those who are wondering, is the first female admiral, I believe it's the US, I don't fucking know, I don't care, but they're trans, but technically they were a man before, so it seems like they've been taking the piss with this, but unfortunately, it's accurate. So, continues on by saying, we're told our account will be restored in 12 hours, but the countdown won't begin until we delete the tweet that violates the Twitter rules, which this was a very similar thing that happened with Steven Crowder. He had to delete all of his fucking tweets in order to be able to have access to his tweets again, his Twitter account. He made a major mistake in deleting all those tweets. He wasn't able to make another Twitter account because that also would have violated the rules in order for his complete suspension of his account as well, and any other ways of making it. He could have used his friends maybe as well to get some content out to say about this stuff, but this is a very similar thing that happened with Steven Crowder. We're not deleting anything. Truth is not hate speech. If the cost of telling the truth is the loss of our Twitter account, then so be it. I've received some messages from people asking how they can help. I can think of a few ways. 1. Never censor yourself. Insist that 2 and 2 make 4, even if Twitter tries to compel you to say otherwise. Make them ban tens of millions of us. 2. Get on our email list so we have direct contact with you. It's not a perfect solution. Email service providers have censored us too, but at least we have our own email list and we can take it and can take it with us. 3. Become a premium subscriber. If even enough of you do that, we won't need traffic from big tech platforms to generate revenue. And of course, I think this is kind of fucked up as it is already to ban something that is honest and truthful, which is why the Babylon Bee is also trending. I'm getting tweets coming through, probably of people liking my things, maybe responding, because let's go on to my tweet specifically that I had talked about with Disclosed TV, saying about the extremist organization stuff. So, I had continued on my tweet saying, I don't think banning Meta platforms from Russia is very effective. If they stand by calling Meta an extremist organization, then do the same to Microsoft, Apple, Google, some of the most powerful and controlling companies across the world. My problem with having the power to ban a whole platform and company from operating services shows how powerful Russia is to shut down any media they deem hostile. Much like how people try to take down Parler for January 6, take down Trump and Fox as Russian propagandists. This doesn't just apply to Russia. America, the UK and Europe, Australia, New Zealand and Canada have done similar things with groups of people the government disagrees with. Peaceful protesters arrested and tracked down, police becoming more fascist. Are we any better than Russia? And I've had a few responses to this as well, across many tweets. And I kind of want to go over some of them, of course, as well. So I'll start with Bitcoin Asteroid. And I want to put this in here right now. Do not harass, for anyone who sees this video right now, do not harass these people at all. They're obviously making some kind of argument obviously, because we all want to find a middle ground to this stuff to see, okay, Facebook is a piece of shit organization that called for, as it's mentioned here, calls to violence and to kill them. I don't know about the killing part, but I do know there was a lot of talk about calls to violence, which again, I think is utterly fucking stupid, but it was a thing. As I remember, it was Facebook and Instagram the ones that allowed hate speech against Russians and calls to kill them. It was not Microsoft or Apple. I said, well, that may be true. They still have no right to ban an entire platform and its services in Russia. There would be an outcry if this happened to another Western nation. What's different about Russia? The Russian people now need to use alternative ways of communication now. Now, from that point, because obviously character limit, going by that, what I mean about that specific tweet specifically is that I don't believe the government has every right to ban what they want just because they deem it offensive, for example. If the government wanted to ban some stuff that was offensive, there would be a lot more people, especially if this was law and rule, especially and completely open for interpretation. This would be all over the fucking place. So many people would be banned already for hate speech. Let's go for the example of Hunter Biden, for example. That's some news that came out recently. Hunter Biden laptop had been known for about 2 years now at this point, almost 3, I would say, coming up towards the summer. Roughly about that time anyway. It was before the 2020 elections, at least, this was known about. And it was brought up, and they kept on denying it. The mainstream media kept denying it. People kept on bringing it up. They denied it was even a thing. They are now admitting it is a thing, which makes no fucking sense. Why? Alright? That's a genuine question that I have. So someone else responded to this tweet saying, why don't they have the right? It's a grey area for sure, but I don't think it's totally unjustifiable. And I think everyone has to worry about has this worry creeping around in regards to social media and its effects on us. This is a drastic step, but maybe a good one. Time will tell. And I do understand where this man is coming from, because I believe he obviously has his worries about social media, its effects on us, and it's a completely grey area. But the right for an entire government to censor an entire platform that many people use, by the way, probably very likely in Russia as well. I don't know if they do, but I would assume, obviously, that they very likely would. And also another thing with banning an entire media, if I haven't said it already, it makes people have to go for another way of communicating. You ban Facebook, okay, there's one communication service done. You ban Twitter, there's another. How many platforms do you think they will go through to ban completely so that the government has utter control in what the people can and cannot see and can and cannot say? There's a slippery slope, and we've been seeing this for years. That is my point. So I continued on by saying, if the Russian civilians, which is called limit, want rid of Meta, and a huge majority say so, then they will demand it to the government. They, the government, have no right to completely censor an entire platform that many use. As mentioned separately, Russians will now have to find alternative platforms to speak. And then obviously someone said, see Trump and TikTok. I obviously mentioned as well, all this stuff, but I've said it before. The same guy, I believe it was, checking it quickly, no, done that, says they probably have as much right to do that as other companies to do as they do ban political figures from the platform, right? Obviously this was a bit of a confusing one to me, because obviously you've got many people being banned off social media already for alternative views. See the Wuhan lab, see Alex Jones theories and all that stuff, the microchipping, the Hunter Biden laptop. Many of these people were banned off social media. Most of these people very unlikely have gotten their accounts back. I'd be willing to bet. Because this is the same with the Wuhan lab, as mentioned. Many of these things, and even criticizing the government half the time, can get you censored. They had Donald Trump, who is still a sitting president, by the way, banned off Twitter. Meanwhile, you still have Putin on Twitter. You still have terrorist organizations on Twitter. Why are they not banned for extremist content? But Trump gets banned for January 6th, which is fuck all compared to what many terrorists have done, compared to what Joe Biden did with Afghanistan. Do you get my point yet? There's a lot more tweets I could go for, but I don't want to spend too long on this. The point that I'm making about this entire thing with the extremist organization, you want to apply it to Facebook. Why don't you apply it to Google? Why don't you apply it to Apple? Why don't you apply it to Microsoft, that are major companies? Major companies that control a vast majority of the communication networks, the main ones that everyone uses. Microsoft with Xbox and Outlook as well, which used to be formerly known as Hotmail. You could, for Facebook, Instagram, probably WhatsApp as well. I have no idea if that's counted. The Facebook Messenger platform as well, to send messages to other people. Twitter, for example, bans people, as I mentioned, Donald Trump, off of the platform. They can't see a currently sitting president. Granted, he was going out of office at the time. That doesn't make any difference. He was still president at the time. That does not mean you can ban him. But obviously I continue on with some of this from this tweet also as well, saying, my problem with having the power to ban a whole platform and company from operating its services shows how powerful Russia is to shut down any media they deem hostile. Going over that part that I obviously said before, it proves that Russia has this supreme power. Think of China, for example. They don't mark Taiwan as its own independent place. They mark it as their own. But they obviously had Hong Kong that was very... They were very vocal about what they believed. The Chinese government decided to shut that down completely. Hong Kong is no longer the same as it is before, and it lives in fear because the Chinese government control everything. So when you have Russia doing a very similar thing for a social media platform, a form of communication, that's another risky, slippery slope. And I'm not saying this is just happening with Russia. As I mentioned, America, UK and Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada have done similar things. Do we need to go over the trucker protest in Canada? Do we need to go over that? Where GoFundMe had been told by the fucking Canadian government and the police to completely shut down the event and any money that they were making. GoFundMe originally was going to say, you need to tell us if you want your money back, else we'll give it to other charities that we deem more useful. Much ones that would probably include things like Black Lives Matter. The same Black Lives Matter who have been caught for a lot more fraud recently. Isn't that interesting? Also, weren't they the same ones who caused, up to June 2020, because they stopped counting, $2 billion of damages to property and assault on people and murder? They even made jazz, for fuck's sake. You got lawless criminals, mostly in Democrat cities and states, that had this happen. A slippery slope. And now you have people like Joe Biden in power spouting utter shite and lying about these things, where you now have, as mentioned before, the Hunter Biden laptop now coming out. Because they realise Joe Biden is so shit at his job that they're now saying, we need to pull away from this one. Oh no. We need to get the people back on our side because they're losing viewers. They thought Joe Biden was going to be the one and great all to take down Trump. Oh, Russia went after Ukraine. When was that? Oh, he did it when Trump left office and when Biden started taking over. We saw how weak he was with Afghanistan. You don't think Russia was paying attention to that? Really? Are you fucking mental? The point is, at the end of the day, is that we are no better than Russia. Russia has clearly shown its power grab, to say, this is the information that we want to control. This is going down a slippery slope like China did. And we are not, the rest of the Western nations are not far behind this. I'm not making claims of one world government. I'm making claims of a power grab from many governments that seemingly seems to link up all to one. Now, am I saying Putin is a good person from all this? No, I am not saying he's a good person at all. He's a piece of shit who bombed Ukraine, which I disagree with him bombing in the first place, but there's a lot more you could go into that about. My point is that these people have been grabbing this amount of power for so long, and we've been blind to it. We've been ignoring it. So please explain to me why it's okay for Russia, a whole government, to completely shut down Meta, Facebook. As much as I think these social media platforms that I use, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft's, I don't use Apple really at all. I don't think I've ever used Apple. These major companies, you can even go as far as BlackRock, which is also controlling these companies that are already mentioned. Do you really want to go down that line? Of course, I'm just going to post this as is now because I've got notifications coming through, probably likes or something, or people liking other tweets and stuff. I don't know. But I want to know, honestly, what people think about this. From the Babylon Bee stuff that's jumping up all over the place. And what you think about this entire Meta issue. Because I believe this is a power grab, and I do not believe that Russia marking it as extremist, while it may be a bit more accurate, I don't believe completely banning the platform because, as I mentioned before, there are many Russians who are using that for communication. I'm not saying a lot because I have no idea how many. But the difference is that there are a lot of people using these platforms to communicate. How long until Russia decides, oh, we can't use these platforms anymore? How long until I can use places like Twitter? How long until I can use places like, I don't know, Parler? When can I use Gab? When can I use Rumble? This is not... It's shown a power grab against Facebook. And yes, Facebook did have calls to violence against Russians. As far as I've heard, I do not know if this is true to any extent. This is what I've heard. I've never fact-checked this. However, there is a point to be made about the power grabbing more than anything else. So I have some questions. Do you agree with government power being able to tell you what platform you can use, what you can say to your friends and family, what you can say on the internet? Because guess what? If it's really about hatred, welcome to the fucking internet. Because hatred is everywhere on the internet. You just have to learn how to deal with it. You need to learn how to stay away from the internet at times so that you can have your own peace and not be caught up with social media. I've gone on for about 17 minutes now and repeating myself, but you get the point. I'm uploading this as it is, raw as it is, because I might as well, because this is all breaking news kind of thing. Not fully, it's been, well, as you've seen from my tweet, it's been an hour. But I really want to know what people think about this. So leave what you think, as brief as you want it or as detailed as you want it. If I've seen your post, I will give it a like. If I have something to say about it, I will respond to it, because I think it would be a very interesting conversation. And while my channel is very small, I advise people to go to my other social medias, which are linked in the description below. I think I'll be adding Rumble to it soon, because I think I'm going to move a lot more of my stuff there. I'm not going to gain any attention on YouTube, if any at all, even if I wanted the attention on YouTube. I'd rather Rumble, because as much as YouTube has built up its own platform of people, it's not the same as it used to be. It's very controlled and has leftist ideas being pushed forward more. You can't say these things on YouTube half the time, and the people who are popular enough to gain enough popularity to have people think the same way, or have discussions about it at least, will get censored. There are many people that I watch who have been censored off YouTube, or had videos censored off YouTube, because it was, let's call it inappropriate. Which it isn't. It's just labelled hate speech. Which is another thing that I want people to question. But I'll leave it here, because I'm just going to keep repeating myself all the time. And I hope everyone has a good day. Leave your comments in the description below. Check my socials, which are in the description. And I'll see you then.